Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the State of the Empire Address. And what you guys are about to see is a little interview between me, myself, Evil Jagan, and Isaiah Triforce Johnson, in which we discuss the state of Empire Arcadia, how the year in 2016 was in review, and the plans for 2017. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so before we go into 2017, let's go over Empire Arcadia in the year 2016. And this is going to deal with, you can go on sponsors, collaboration, any events the Empire has done, and also accomplishments. So take us through the year of 2016 for Empire Arcadia.
Okay, as you already know, 2015, I spent an entire year in Jamaica. This is coming from like December of 2014 all the way to December of 2015. And I was out in working with Cyberbox eSports League in Kingston, Jamaica. After that, they closed down the center, the land center there. They have some kind of plans to actually go international. They think they want to take the plan to another region of the world. And I decided to come back to America. I had a couple of things working on, and we picked up a sponsor in Catalyst Mints. We're working with them in terms of selling their energy product. I'm actually working on a little secret with like a esports commercial. It's nothing like it's like Michael Jordan, how he Gatorade commercials and stuff like that. Try to do something like that for Catalyst Mints. So
No, what?
you see
No,
that.
go into a little bit more detail. What is Catalyst Mints?
Well, the Catalyst Mints is how can I put it? Imagine having Red Bull in a tablet. That's literally what it's actually. I was trying to call it a tablet. It's really a breath mint, but it's a breath mint that has Siberian Eleuthera in it and other forms of energy boosting qualities that they usually put in other you know beverages, Red Bull or Monster and stuff like that that gives you boosting energy. The difference with this mint is that you can take them in mints, so you can take them in short doses and short quantities. Each canister comes with like 21 pieces, and it takes three pieces to equal one energy drink.
Oh,
So you have
wow.
21 pieces, so you're talking about three energy drinks in this entire small canister. And I've actually used it this year when we helped to launch the Guinness Book of World Records 2017 Gamers Edition.
Okay.
I actually used it because I had to do a 24-hour marathon playing Tetris Ultimate. Um, and so I had to play for 24 hours and I had to get a certain score in terms of competing against the computer, master level computer. And it really worked. I didn't even go through the entire canister, to be very honest with you. I kind of took one like every 2 hours, every 2.5 hours to kind of space myself. I didn't want to get a crash or anything like that. And it actually ended up keeping me up for 41 hours because after the Guinness event, and I acquired my seventh Guinness World Record, seventh team wise, but fourth personal Guinness World Record. Then that allowed me to kind of like, take me through the remainder of the day when I went to Sirius XM Esports for an interview. So that's what the product does. I'm not really a fan of like products like that. So there's like energy drinks, but because of its natural ingredients of the Siberian Eleuthera, I was definitely a supporter of it, and I back it because it actually works. I use it, and you know me, I really try not to put anything negative in my body.
So you
So
used it and you had no crash effect, no anything.
nope. Like I said, I stood up for 41 hours. That's crazy.
Man,
And I haven't done that in a while. I haven't done that since I was like in my younger days, and when I just did that
wow.
just off, being a kid. But at my age now, I was actually surprised that we got up. What time did we get up? We got up around 5 a.m. in the morning to come out from the Bronx and head down to Midtown Manhattan, set up, get a couple of practice games. We started around 12 or 1. I'm not too sure at the time. And we went from 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 12 or 1 o'clock the following day, which was Thursday. Then after that, we did the ceremony. I was awarded the record. I dropped my friends who had came all the way from Cleveland, Ohio, to help me to witness the event. After dropping them off, I had to stay in Midtown Manhattan because my interview wasn't until later on that evening around 8 o'clock. Went to Sirius XM Esports, did our interview there. It was actually 7 o'clock. Did our interview there. I got out around 8-ish, 9. Got to Midtown Manhattan, grabbed me something to eat, got back all the way uptown to the Bronx around 11. Got to sleep around 12 midnight, and I counted the hours. So that means I got up at 5 a.m. on Wednesday, and I went to sleep Friday morning at 12 a.m.
All right. So, what other than your watching the Guinness Book of World Records? What else happened in 2016?
Well, so I came back down. When I came back to America, I went to actually, I haven't been into North American
Wait, you
fighting
you tell me you're not in France?
Wait, repeat that again?
You said you're not in France. I could have swore you said America.
Uh, no, I've left France a long time ago, but
Oh,
that's the
okay.
running joke. I like saying, I'm still in France. It doesn't matter where I'm in the world. I'm always in France. So, but when I came back to America, I hadn't been in a fighting game tournament, at least visiting in about a year and a half at that time. For that time, so I went to Winter Brawl. Actually, was it Winterboro? Yes, I actually did go to Winterboro, but I first stopped off at a King of New York event, and then I went to Winterboro, and then we went to final round, and I had a great time. It was a while I've been in the fighting game community. I see many changes and stuff like that. Everyone is getting a facelift. They're really getting a facelift to the fighting game tournaments to kind of
Right,
look
right.
more like the modern esports image, and that's a good thing. That's actually a good thing. A lot of people.
No, that's a good point. So that kind of segues into one of the next questions I wanted to ask. So,
Okay.
Triforce. Now, a lot of people know the Empire for being very dominant in fighting games.
Mhm.
If no one knew about the team, like personally, if they weren't heavy into esports, there's a good chance that they will know Empire Arcadia. And if you've mentioned before, you kind of don't like that people kind of label EMP as a fighting game team, but that's kind of what the Empire was known for because throughout the 2000s, very strong team. Anyway, you stated on multiple occasions that you are no longer directly involved with the FGC. So, what is the plan moving forward? Does EMP still do fighting games? What's going on with the division currently?
Well, see, it's I don't want to complicate it. Kind of make it simplify it. Um, Empire Arcadia will always be involved in the FGC because we have players in it. But will I be involved in the FGC to that degree? No, I won't. Me and the FGC, excuse me, I apologize. Me and the FGC never got along. I've tried my best. There's a certain, there's just a certain atmosphere about the FGC, and we just don't click in terms of myself and the scene for whatever reason. It's actually really not important. But in terms of like information, how it travels in the FGC, it's really not consistent. So you can't say something in the FGC and mean what you mean. You mean what those who have influence say you mean. So you'll say A and you'll say B. And that has always been an issue for me. Whereas other members in EMP that actually compete in the fighting games, they'll say the very same thing I say, and then people can understand it. And I guess that's because people respect the fact that they're actual players, where I am not. Yes, I've competed in a couple fighting game tournaments. Where am I on the scale in terms of skill? I'm nowhere in that regard where they would respect me as a gamer. Although I understand the fundamentals and stuff like that, and I can understand the game, but I think because I'm not a champion, they don't respect me as a person or a player in that regard. So in terms of my influence is only made based on my actions, not what I say. So understanding this, I've turned that part of the organization over to KDZ because he's our one of our active players, and he really spearheads all FGC related stuff for EMP.
So
And even for him,
He runs everything. So I mean, of course, you being the CEO, you have final say. But so all major moves, I want to have this correct. All major moves regarding fighting games, KDZ has final say, essentially.
yeah, he's the guy. In terms of like in his relationship with the fighting game community, his relationship is actually far more sound than mine is. So it's like I deal with KDZ, and then KDZ deals with the scene, and for the last 2 years now, that has worked for EMP. So I'm comfortable with that. The FGC is comfortable with that. They don't have me in their space, and I'm fine with that. I have no problems with that. I guess we found a middle ground, a compromise, and we're all happy. So that's where I am. But outside of that, finishing up what you were saying regarding the what's been going on with EMP in 2016. Outside of that, we've done the release of my biopic, which is called, they named it after me. It's called Triforce. CNN and Time Magazine, and they pretty much collaborated in getting that out there and distributing it. And so it really gives an inside look on how EMP operated, our lives, how we lived, and more personal background on me and my family and the organization coming up into the scene. So anyone who hasn't doesn't really understand, you could take a look at it, and it's not like a docudrama where it kind of like adds a little drama to it. It's really just a raw straight on facts. This is Triforce, this is his organization, these were some of his players, this is what they did, this is how they lived, things involving my family, my mission, and what I'm trying to do. And it's just like that. So you can check that out on the Great Big Story, guys. From there, the last major thing that happened for EMP in 2016 was the 35th anniversary of Twin Galaxies. I traveled from Jamaica going on to Iowa, and where I presented Walter Day with his first and perhaps only Guinness World Record award, certifying Twin Galaxies as the first adjudication service competitive games. And he then turned over his own award to his own city. So, and that's commendable about him. Walter's always a sharing kind of person. So that was very good. I learned a lot about the history of competitive gaming that we now know as esports, like how they built that first infrastructure, how it's transformed over the years, and all that stuff. I even created a mini raw documentary based on it. You can check that out on our YouTube page, guys, or just look in the description. Jagan can put that there for you guys to take a look at. And it really gives you a real in-depth look on the history and the culture of competitive gaming. But outside of that, that's pretty much been it for 2016. And now we're in the final year of the industrial esports revolution, 2017, and that's where I am right now.
All right. So speaking of 2017, is there any major moves that you have for the upcoming year, since 2016 just ended? So I'm pretty sure you have something cooking up your sleeves for the next major moves for Empire Arcadia.
Well, 2017, we have a lot of things in the work. Some things I can't really talk about, but I think there's
Understandable.
One or two things we can speak on. One of them is we just as an organization, we were invited to a video game cruise later on in the year. VGU, the Ultimate Gamer Cruise, that's going to be traveling throughout the the North Caribbean, obviously in the Bahamas, and we're going to be doing something big regarding Injustice 2. So that's definitely something that we look forward to. As more information comes out, we'll be posting some stuff. We're just trying to wait till we get the clearance for us to start talking about it, and EMP being there and whatnot. So kind of lock down a couple of other things. And the next major thing that we're going to be doing is in the middle of the year, during August, Ottumwa, Iowa is going to be holding its 35th anniversary for the Life magazine photo shoot. This is going to be based on the first, this is like Time magazine encapsulating the first superstars in gaming. It's like esports' first actual, champions, like superstar guys that were great in the games and stuff like that. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, you can reference the King of Kong. You can YouTube it. You'll see the King of Kong movie. It has a nice little background story on that 1982 Life magazine photo shoot. And so I'm going to be going down there for that, but they're going to be celebrating that. They're going to be putting up enshrining or erecting a bronze plaque regarding that historical moment in time. Also, the Icon trading card event's going to be there. They are looking to create some competition down there as well. So I'm waiting to see more details on that. The Walter Day and Billy Mitchell Video Game Film Festival, and then the International Video Game Hall of Fame for a class of 2016 and 2017. That's going to be taking place there as well. And this is a trip I want all of Empire Arcadia, or as many of members in EMP as possible, to go down there for. So we look to go there for like a whole week and just, enjoy the entire festivities.
Now, you mentioned the International Video Game Hall of Fame. Do you
Mhm.
know who is going to be inducted during the ceremony? Or has that been
Yeah,
released yet?
they actually released the induction list for 2016. And off the top of my head, I can remember, I know Joel West and Lonnie McDonald. Lonnie McDonald's a part of the United States video game team, which is funny because like that can be, I think, not even argued. I think it can be said that's the first esports team ever.
Hmm.
And this is like
Interesting.
1982, 83. I could be wrong. I could be off by a year, but it was in the 80s. The team was developed in the 80s. Also, they actually commissioned the team, put the team together. And Chris Tang, he was voted into the Hall of Fame, and he's also on that United States video game team. So those three, I was inducted, into the Video Game Hall of Fame. So I joined those four guys, no, those three other guys. Patrick O'Malley, yeah, Patrick O'Malley, he was put in for like a community representative, because of his work and contribution to the scene, and especially in the classic gaming scene. For in terms of games, Super Mario Brothers, as the game was inducted in, Awada-san, Nintendo's late former president, he was inducted in.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I think that there's some other stuff that they got in, like the Lifetime Achievement Award, but I can't remember the gentleman's name on the top of my head. So, but yeah, a lot of those guys pretty much got in. So I'm going to be there, obviously, because I'm going to be inducted. But even if I wasn't going to be inducted, I would have been there because I've been there for every Hall of Fame class that they've had so far, from 2010, 2015. Those are the 2 years that they had. So I was there last year. So I'm going to be there this year again. Anything that happens major in the town of Iowa that I can plan for that's not too close, I always try to make it a point to kind of make it out there. So I'm definitely going to be there for that.
All right. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I I was not aware of that. That was actually a Hall of Fame for video games, and it's kind of to think, maybe 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been a thing. But now, as esports is growing,
Mhm.
this is something that's going to be a lot more common. So,
Well,
speaking of video, oh, go
mhm.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but the Video Game Hall of Fame has been around for a while now. Prior to the Video Game Hall of Fame, Twin Galaxies had one. It was in 2009, and that kind of like melded into creating the International Video Game Hall of Fame. Um, the International Game, I don't want to say melded. It's more like inspired the International Video Game Hall of Fame. And there were a couple of people involved in the whole International Video Game Hall of Fame. You can go to their website, you can check it out, and you'll see who's on the board and all that other stuff. And but they've been around since 2010. Like they had their first event, it was called the Big Bang. So that was to kind of pop that off. And last year, 2016, they created an esports Hall of Fame. But the thing with the International Video Game Hall of Fame is that they inducted esports players already. So although you have the Esports Hall of Fame, which I think the Esports Hall of Fame focuses more just on esports related things, the International Video Game Hall of Fame focuses on the entire video game industry as a whole, its culture, the games, the designers, the industry leaders, the community leaders, and the players. So it's a more complete, robust Hall of Fame. That's why it's called a Hall of Fame and Museum. They even have plans on putting together a museum to correspond with the Hall of Fame. And that's been around
Hmm.
since 2010. So it's nothing new. It's been here for a while.
All right. So now, speaking of video games, what are other games EMP is expanding into? Because in terms of esports game, because Empire Arcadia is doubles as it does have an esports team as well. We've
Mhm.
seen new games pop up such as Overwatch, CS:GO, Counter Strike Global Offensive is still very popular. We have League of Legends, Hearthstone, Are there any other games that EMP is getting into? I know you guys do the FIFA thing, and you guys are kind of involved with still with the retro games and stuff like that, and obviously the fighting games. But what about other games like Overwatch specifically? Because it is, if I'm not mistaken, still the most popular game being played worldwide.
Well, Empire, I pride myself on making sure that Empire Arcadia is a diverse and versatile organization to the best of our ability. When it comes to the video games, the actual what we play, we don't limit ourselves. So, a lot of people know Empire Arcadia because of its fighting game dominance throughout the years. Obviously, we're nothing like what we used to be because a lot of our players are now moved on to other teams and so forth, and we've kind of shifted our focus into kind of trying to spread out more. But with 13 Evo championships, I think we can make that sacrifice to kind of go into those different areas. We want to focus on like MOBA, get back into first person shooters. Hearthstone is a definite game that we're doing. FIFA, that's another game that we're doing. And return to the classics. Jace Hall has done a great job in not necessarily trying, but preserving Twin Galaxy's role in the classic or retro esports, if you want to call it. And so there's still a high level of competition in that area. So we want to keep players in that area, keep players focused in that area. Todd Rogers still plays for EMP competitively, like in terms of setting world records in the classic games. The same thing for Lance Eustache. We had another player who left us a while ago, and he even played. And then I played, but I retired last year, so I don't necessarily focus on that anymore because I want to free up a lot of time to focus on expanding the organization in the other games. But like I said, Overwatch, FIFA, League of Legends is kind of too far out for us to reach. So I don't think Empire Arcadia will ever reach that level of League of Legends unless the organization adapts to the new esports climate or ecosystem, generate enough money to where we can purchase a team and be able to go out and compete at the level of rights circuit. But that's not really realistic for us right now. So we're going to focus on Overwatch. It's still relatively young. It's only a year old, and we can still catch up in the game. Games like Hearthstone, games like FIFA, and stuff like that. So we definitely want to be able to do that.
Okay, so that pretty much gets to the meat and potatoes of what I want to ask in this whole State of the Empire address. But now, since we do have extra time, we have extra time allotted to us. I kind of want to get into something that's going to be slightly controversial. So, you've owned Empire Arcadia for over a decade, correct?
Yes, this is correct. About 15 years actually.
Okay, so 15 years. So I'll take a word that you used earlier. In this whole esports ecosystem, everybody, every single team, no one knows what works, what doesn't work yet. Everyone's still trying to find the blueprint. So with you being 15 years in deep, what is I'd say, what is the mistake that you've made that you've learned the most from?
Well, when we look at this, when you look at the question, as a pioneering team, it's slightly difficult to kind of look at things more as mistakes, more as learning experiences. The organization, when we formed the organization in 2002, well, first of all, there was a planning year. So, and that planning year was 2001. But when we formed and we launched in 2002, the organization and how we formed and put the organization together, the players, the goal, the mission, all of that stuff, all of that was, it's different. You cannot make that comparison of how that esports team is run then versus how esports teams are run today. Over the years, the entire paradigm of esports has changed. Sponsors came in. You had sponsors creating teams. You have teams that came in with corporate sponsors, and they had money, and that money allowed them to do things a lot more efficient than how EMP could. a lot of our money came to us just pulling our financial resources together. We had our gaming house. We were all living in the gaming house together. This is like where people live. We didn't just, it's not like an MTV gaming house special where it's like, hey guys, this is where we go and we playing. We're only living here because we're playing together. No,
Hmm.
this is where we lived, period. But we're all teammates, so we're played as well. So some of us who didn't even compete or weren't even on the playing circuit, they lived there too, and so we were all like a family. Unfortunately for EMP, when the nature of the environment changed and esports teams started entering the FGC, because EG's been around. Actually, I think EG's older than Empire Arcadia, and actually, I'm pretty sure they are. But when these other teams from like the PC community started wanting to expand in other games, fighting games, and these other stuff, and they came into the FGC, they came in with their system, and it changed the FGC. And when it changed the FGC, certain expectations changed as well. So players who signed on to Empire Arcadia to help the organization develop a brand and grow into a dynasty so that we can then market the brand and a dynasty to big corporate sponsors which finance us so that we can then pay the players and sponsor the players. That was the goal. That has always been the goal of Empire Arcadia from the very beginning. Well, that won't work in this day and age. Players want to be paid, period. So when they're looking and they're seeing their peers getting paid on Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid and Team Liquid and Team EG, players in Empire Arcadia is like, well, we're dominating the scene. We have like over 10 Evo championships. We won the World Cyber Games. We've gone to MLG. We won like 7 MLGs. Why aren't we getting paid? So that kind of put me in a pinch because now I have to try to find money to pay all of these champions. And we had guys like YouTube King, Armada, Knuckle Dew, Justin, PR Ballrug, Ricky, Snake Eyes. We have all these guys. And it's, there's no way for us to just transition instantaneously into that. We had teamed up with VXG in 2013, and I personally did a promotion for VXG in 2013. Decided not to even do with Empire Arcadia. Decided something to do with Isaiah Triforce Johnson marketing VXG, and VXG paid me that money. I then took that money and invested and tried to divvy that down to as many players I could as in EMP to get us to go to we went to final round that year. We went to what's the name of this Canada Cup or Toyukan actually. We were all over the place that year. We also got guys to go to Evo. We also got guys to go to CEO. We also got guys to go to VXG. And they just sucked up the money. There's just not enough money for that many players. If I probably had 2 players, then we would be able to just rock with that. But it just wasn't enough. And I've come to understand that the old way that I'm doing things is not going to work in this new ecosystem. So I had to find a new way to adapt to the new esports ecosystem. And this is why so many players, went to different teams. This still works to this day in that form. If you look at Team EG, Justin and a couple of other players from Team EG have all left EG for whatever reasons. I'm sure just by my experience, I can tell that players weren't being financially satisfied. It has nothing to do with the organization not treating the players right. I'm sure EG treats all their players great for the most part. You're going to always have a situation where you feel that there's a player who feels left out. People have to be realistic here.
So let me interject really quick. So you brought up that a lot of the EG players are now leaving EG. Now, so do you think with the bigger the prize pool gets, the bigger players are going to feel that they're worth more than maybe what their salary dictates? So do you think the days of having all these super mega top players being on one team are essentially over? Because like you said earlier, I mean, there's only so much money to go around, and you're not gonna. I mean, if you look at, for example, a very powerful fighting game team in Team Mad Cats had Daigo, Takedo, Mago, 3 very, very solid players in the Street Fighter scene, and now they're no more. And I think to this day they still have not yet found another team. So what do you think about that?
The thing is, I don't want to kind of digress, so it looks like I'm deflecting your answer by using other teams to justify why our organization's you know paradigm of how we operate doesn't work today. I kind of want to stay within that realm.
Okay,
Um,
no problem.
the
That's fair.
point, yeah, the point overall is that the players join these teams because they're looking to make a living off of this. That's the whole point. If you go back to the guys who playing Atari and it's guys like me, we always wish that we could play video games competitively for a living. This is what we do, and we get paid. We can pay our rent. We can retire off of this like a regular job. We can take care of ourselves and our families with this. So money is going to always be an issue. Um, as the scene evolves and becomes, the scene is going through the last phase of the industrial esports revolution. By the end of 2017, it's going to be in full fledged, and then it's going to start its global esports initiative. Teams that do not have a solid, or financial or a solid economic infrastructure for their teams are going to fade off. Teams like EG, they're okay. A lot of people would say, or EG lost out. Actually, they did not. EG has a legacy. That's like Michael Jordan leaving the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls lost out. No, they're not. Despite the Bulls not winning any more championships, they can still operate because it's about building a legacy. It's always about building a legacy. This is why EMP has survived, such a long mass period of time because we're marketing the legacy of the organization. All we have to do is focus on what ways to bring in income. That money brings in, we can get money, and then we can purchase a next generation of players that will maintain the legacy of the organization. We win another tournament, then we're back on the map. We're no different from the Yankees. When was the last time the Yankees won the World Series? But the Yankees are still popular because of its legacy. It's won more World Series than any other baseball team ever. Same thing like the Celtics, same thing like the Lakers, same thing like the Bulls, etc., etc. So Empire Arcadia, EG, SK Gaming, teams like that, these are old decade plus teams that have already solidified themselves in the esports dynasty. Crap, the United States video game team, although they don't compete, it's more like a legacy team. It still exists even now, which was just recently reopened, I think more for historical purposes and honoring like the champions over the year, Patrick Scott Patterson and Tim McVeigh. They're like the new owners for the team. But these teams can live even if there's an economic problem in the esports scene because of its legacy. So for Empire Arcadia being the number one winning video game team of all time, we're okay. All we have to do is just change how we go about bringing money in, and the organization can move into its next phase, and that's what we're focusing on in 2017. So like I said, it's not necessarily mistakes. It's not an issue about mistakes. It's about being a trailblazer. If you're a trailblazer, if you're a pioneer, you're always going to have bumps in the road. We're making the road. It's not going to be smooth for us. Mistakes are for like teams that come in behind us, and those teams are going to come in and they see what we've done, and they try to say, hey, this looks like it can work, and they throw money at the problem. And when they throw money at the problem, the minute they run out of money, what happens? And that's what happened to Mad Cats. Sales weren't up. Someone at the what's the word for this? At the board meeting said, oh, why are we spending that amount of money on this team? What does this team bring? Is this team helping to make sales? No. Cut them. Done. So a team that has great legendary players like Mago, like Tokido, like Daigo will just die because Mad Cats as an organization in esports hasn't developed a legacy. And this is not me bashing the organization. I'm just speaking on in terms of what has it's done in a long duration of time. It was relatively a very young organization in the esports scene, came around about a year and a half after Street Fighter 4 came into play, and died before Street Fighter 4 even converted over to Street Fighter 5. So Mad Cats as a team is what, 3-4 years old tops. You can't compare that to like SK Gaming or EG or EMP. They've been around for a decade plus. So those teams are running off of money. So look at EG. They recently, Justin left, PR Balrog left. So this is a financial issue. But then they can just hop around and say, okay, this is unfortunate. We only have a certain amount of money. We have to do what's best for the organization. So although we won't be able to satisfy these players that's been with this organization, that if you look at what Justin said, if you look at what Rog said, they don't diss EG. They leave on amicable terms. They understand the business. They understand what it's about. They know EG can't afford to pay them what they perhaps request. This is all my speculations. None of this is facts here. And they move on amicably to other teams. EG's job now is to find people that's going to replace their Titans that they've lost. EMP had to do it. EG took Justin Wong from us. Justin Wong, let me rephrase that statement. Justin Wong has left Empire Arcadia and gone to EG on amicable terms, and now Justin Wong's leaving EG and going to another organization on amicable terms. EG's responsibility is to maintain the EG brand, and they've picked up Chris G. They still have K Brad, and they have their Dota team that won $9 million at the invitation. They're good. So in terms of the issue isn't the organization. The issue is the players understanding their worth. How will they survive in the esports ecosystem, especially this modern one? The teams, well, the legacy teams, those guys are okay. They have a legacy that they can market, and in this enriched esports history, they're not the issue. It's really the players. So I wish the best of luck to them. If I could give any advice, it's the same advice I've said for years on end. It's not about what you win. It's about what you do with the win.
All right. So we are running out of time. So I'm gonna give you 1 minute to kind of give your final thoughts on if you want to dispel anything, if you want to address anything specific that we didn't cover in the address here. The floor is yours. So you got 1 minute.
Okay. So nothing really to address. I just want to thank all the supporters for the people that supported Empire Arcadia in 2016. Tumwa's Twin Galaxies at Tumwa, Iowa. Shout outs to you guys. Also want to give a special thanks for Guinness World Records. These guys stuck by us for big time, and I'm really happy for that. I definitely want to thank CNN. I also want to thank Time Magazine, True Believer Films for helping to get our biopic out. Definitely a big shout out and thanks to you guys. Definitely big thanks to Walter Day, Todd Rogers, and Billy Mitchell for all their help, and everybody in Empire Arcadia that truly believes in our organization and continues to support the organization.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up things here. Thank you, Triforce, for participating in the State of Empire address. I'm Evil Jagan, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.